All right, let's call this meeting to order. This is an official meeting of the Livingston Parish Council. Today being Thursday, May 25th, 2023, 6 o'clock p.m. and all required advertisements and posts have been made. So this will be the official council meeting. First item on the list is, how about a prayer? Mr. Jeff Ard, I think you have the invocation tonight?
Yes, sir. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you today to thank you for all that you provide for us. As we take time this Memorial Day to remember those who gave their lives for the freedoms we enjoy, we ask that they rest in your loving arms. Grant comfort to their families. May they gain strength from knowing that others do care. We pray for protection over all that are serving in our armed forces and bless their families. We do not mourn our dead soldiers, we praise them. We ask that you be with Corporal Sean Kelly and his family. We pray for healing and comfort. Let them know that all things are possible through Christ who strengthens. Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Let us not forget that we are all of one family and serve one God. We give you all the glory. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I'd like to ask the esteemed Denham Springs City Council member to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Jim Gilbert, would you take the honors, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Just a quick reminder, check your cell phones, just put them on mute or whatever you need to do, just so it doesn't become a big distraction.
There you go.
Thank you. Also, we'll have public input. Anyone wants to speak on any particular item, just raise your hand. I'll call on you. You get the floor. And if you would, try to keep your comments to, a minimum. We may may run into a long meeting, but if you would, and if someone speaks before you and they say the same thing, it's really not that much to keep repeating. Let's skip down to item 9. First is the recognition of the Doyle baseball team 3A runners up. So, Mr. Ard, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you would tell us about this Doyle baseball team.
I'm going to ask Mr. McMorris to come down here with him.
This is Lockhart.
I represent Dole. Mr. McMorris is probably a little closer to y'all. I've known Beanie for a long time. We were the brothers from the Walker area. So
I'll just redo it.
I know he's done a great job at Dole. I've watched him grow that organization from when he took it over to what he's got now.
So just scroll it. You can zoom
I
in.
know y'all had the greatest run, and it's only going to get better. That's what's coming here. So, with that being said, Kim, if you'll come out here. So, Livingston Parish Council is proud to recognize Doll Tiger High School baseball in recognition of your outstanding performance during this season and the 2023 Division III non-select state runner-up. And it's presented by me, Jeff Ard, Councilman District 1, Gary Talbert, Council 2, Maurice Scooter King, Council 3, John Wascom, Council 4, Aaron Sandiford, Council 5, Gerald McMorris, Council 6, Tracy Goringhouse, Council 7, Randy Delatt, Council 8, and Shane Mack, Council 9. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
It's fine. Thank you very much.
All right. You want to say the name? You probably know all them names better than me.
Ooh, I hope it ain't like the girls'
I
names.
know, that's why I handed it off to you.
I got the assistant coach here, Daryl.
No, he's not here tonight.
He's not here.
Yes, I'll take it.
I've got the manager, Jordan Duhan.
Senior trip.
Senior, uh-oh, here we
We got you
go.
on senior
We're batting
trip.
up 100 so far. All right, Mr. Dennis Butler.
On senior trip.
All right, who's here?
We're gonna get to it, I promise.
Hey, we're gonna have a great baseball team if all these are like juniors and freshmen, right?
That's right. That's right.
Oh, Brody. Brody here?
Brody's here.
Look at here. Come on up, son. Brody Stewart.
You want him on stand up?
Yep.
Yep.
Stay up here and we'll get a picture with y'all.
All right, Mr. Parker Taylor.
Yeah.
Mr. Drew Lewis. Woo, you got me on this one. Jackson Berge.
On vacation.
Oh,
See, you didn't even
I
have to
didn't
say
say
that.
that last time. All right, Jace Ware. Congratulations, son. Austin.
On senior trip.
I figured it was. I wasn't going.
Coleslaw.
See there?
Yep.
Peyton Woods.
Senior trip.
Drew, you here?
Drew is here.
Drew Betty.
Very good.
Josh Parker. Congratulations, buddy.
Easton Banesta.
Banesta. Easton Banesta. You might pick the wrong guy to come up here and do this.
Yeah. Ah, that's why I handed them to you.
Now, whoever named this kid, I like y'all. Maddox Newsom. Congratulations, son.
Nope, he's here. Caden
Oh,
Garcia.
Caden Barcia. Congratulations.
Hey, you was a great pitcher, huh? All right, Cody Lovett. Peyton Jones. Dathan Cummins. Congratulations, buddy. Ooh, y'all got some names on this team.
Connor Reeves.
Connor
He's on
Reeves.
senior trip.
Thought he was.
Perfect.
All right.
Appreciate you guys.
All right.
Hey, thank you.
So how many of these are seniors?
Here, this one that's here.
So that means the rest of y'all are coming back next year with a trophy, right?
We're gonna win 2 or 3 in a row.
All
I really
right.
believe
Y'all
it.
come up here and we're gonna get a picture with
Hey,
council.
Jim, while we're coming, would you mind having each one of us tell us the position that they play?
Okay, go ahead, Maddox. Read it out.
I pitch.
Catcher.
I'm a pitcher. Second baseman. Center fielder. Third base.
Are we showing this? Is it right?
Hang on. Come here, bro. He needs a picture with somebody with him up. Come on,
Something we could
All right, we should have a few extra seats up here. We got some extra seats if y'all want to sit, just saying. To get started, let's get a roll call to make sure we have a quorum, Miss Sandy, or
Mr. Garlinghouse. Mr. Wascom.
here.
Mr. King. Here. Mr. McMorris.
Here.
Mr. Talbert?
Here.
Mr. Delat?
Here.
Ms. Sandifer? Here. Mr. Ard?
Here.
Mr. Mack?
All right, the next item on the agenda will be a resolution to contract for the engagement of urban planning from firm Villavasso and Associates LLC to assist Livingston Parish Council in completing the zoning. This was put on the ordinance, on the agenda by Ms. Erin Sandifer, and it was actually picked up in the ordinance committee. You want to take a moment and
Sure.
tell us what this is about?
I sent out the information for the contract. Does anybody have any questions on the council? It's to contract a planning professional to assist us in our parish, with our parish master plan, zoning the rest of the parish, impact fees, and whatever we need from him. He is a planning professional. I have his resume. I listed his resume sent you the resume via email, and I gave you the contract, which you should have in front of you, and his qualifications and experience.
All right, we have Mr. McMorris would like to speak.
Thank you for doing this, Ms. Sanford. What I'd like to ask, this is going to take the place of the existing person that's doing the zoning right now?
No.
So we already have Alvin Fabern that does the zoning, correct?
Yes,
So we still going to work in partnership with them to what we have now?
absolutely.
So we don't have to go backwards, we can just keep moving forward?
It's a collective effort. He's excited to work with them. He's voiced that to me. It just seems like the perfect marriage to bring him in.
All right, Mr. Ard.
I got a couple of questions. First for Chris. We can just hire him as professional services, right? We don't have to go out for bid?
That's correct.
Okay. The other thing is I'm all for this, but I want to know that when we bring this guy in, we're going to do what he says. We got to take politics out of this. We got to listen to somebody when they tell us what to do. So if everybody's agreeing with that, I'm all for it.
All right, Mr. Delat.
I agree with Mr. Ord, and Mr. Moody had sent us a letter saying that maybe we need some professional help, but you can hire all the professional help you want. If you don't abide by what they're telling you, then it doesn't do any good. And I like to second that motion that we go ahead and hire that firm.
All right. No one else? We had a motion by Ms. Sandifer and a second by Mr. Randy Delat.
I see on this thing there's an attached, it says,
You don't want to push the button to talk? I mean, it's okay, but go ahead.
no, I'm good. Am I next? Somebody's in front of me. I
No,
think.
you're on.
It says that, I see attached information regarding V&A. Does anybody have any attached information?
It was like
Yeah.
14 pages. It was emailed yesterday, and I do have it if you need it.
I have a copy right here if you'd like to see it. It is 14 pages.
Resume, is that all it is, or?
It is, and it lists many of the projects that he has done. It lists, he's been an expert witness in cases in the past across the state. He's a teacher as well. He's a law professor at Loyola as well as UNO. He is an attorney, but he does not work as an attorney. He works as a planner, a professional planner. He is, I have.
So the scope of his work is gonna be professional planning assistance regarding planning and zoning matters, including zoning ordinance, zoning map and land use codes for Livingston Parish.
Yep.
Mr. Talbot, you want to pull your microphone down a little bit? Just,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's all right, just to make sure you're heard.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Delat.
So basically, okay, and I don't mean to jump ahead. It talks about zoning ordinance, but you say he's an attorney, but he's not gonna be giving us legal advice. And we do have another matter that we're gonna address.
He doesn't, he's not even, he's not registered with the bar. He does not work as an attorney. He just happens to have a law degree.
I understand. So with our zoning ordinance, is he gonna work on that, or is Mr. Irving gonna work on that? How are we gonna break this work out?
He will do what we ask of him.
Well, I mean, I think we need to define what we want him to do before we sign the contract. I'm not trying to, I'm all in favor of signing the contract. I just want to know what the scope of work is being defined at.
All right, Mr. Delat, real quick.
The scope of work is what she's already said, but I want to get the quote. I'm going to go back. This gentleman has done the same thing in the town of Livingston, and he's also worked with Mr. Moody in the parish of Tangible Hoe. His scope of work is to make sure that we follow the correct rules in this zoning application. Mr. Moody has stated that he doesn't think we have followed those rules, and he suggested that we hire a professional. Now, we got the best in the state of Louisiana right here available for us to hire. So it's a simple case of hiring or not hiring. And there may be some legal issues concerning zoning, and that's what the next item is going to be about. But that next item should be, we'll discuss that then. This is cut and dry. A guy that teaches this class will be able to tell us how to zone correctly if we, in fact, did not zone correctly.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Sandifer, seconded by Mr. Delat. Ms. Sandy, you want to call for the vote? Yeah, if you would call it so we can say it verbally, and then everyone just please press the button as you call it.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr.
I don't know
McMorris?
what the point
Yes.
is.
Mr. Talbert?
Yeah.
I pushed
Mr.
it.
Delat?
Yes?
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
I'm sorry? Yeah, and, okay,
You have to vote the same as on here, is the way you voted.
sure.
If you
just
say
push-
yes, you gotta push yes on
Sure,
there.
yeah, it passed 9-0. The next item on the agenda is item 8. It's a resolution to contract for the engagement of a special attorney, Mr. Stephen Irving, to provide legal services to the Livingston Parish Council regarding the zoning for Livingston Parish. This was placed on the agenda by Mr. Randy Delat. I believe this also went to the Ordinance Committee, correct?
Yes. This resolution is going to ask for Mr. Stephen Irvin to provide us some legal services concerning zoning. We may have to do some advertising. We may have to do some investigation of what we already done that may not have been done correctly. That would take our attorney. And he has, to read over the years, he says he helped some other parishes as well. His hourly rate is going to be $250 for the zoning work. And it's my understanding that's the AG rate, and that's all he can charge. The max budget, it'd be $40,000. I talked to the parish president about the $40,000. It wasn't a problem. Also, we don't think it's going to be that high, but he put a max rate.
Depends on how much it takes. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Is there a motion by Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Seconded by Ms. Sandifer. Any discussion? Mr. Talbert?
Mr. Moody, this is in order?
Yeah, as far as I can see.
Okay, I mean, I just know that the Home Rule Charter kind of designates how our attorneys come about, so we
It
can.
does,
we
but it
can
also
hire
allows you to
outside.
hire special counsel.
Okay,
And
that's all.
with a contract and a budget, so.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Sandy, would you call for the vote? And again, council, as you vote, press the yea or nay.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
All right, that motion carried 9-0. Council members' comments, number 10. Does anyone in this council have any good comments you'd like to say? And we moved councilman comments up to the front because we have a full audience, and we think it's important that you know the goings-on of this parish. Anyone have anything to say, comment?
I would say, like to say something.
Mr. Ard?
Myself, along with, I know Mr. Jim Gilbert was there and his wife Bridget, and I hope I'm not missing anybody, but Saturday, we saw the love of Livingston Parish.
At Dental Springs?
In Denham Springs.
For Sean Kelly?
For Sean Kelly. It was amazing. So if you think we don't have good people here, you hadn't lived here.
Thank you, Mr. Hard. Item 11 is the adoption of minutes. We have April 27th, 2023 regular meeting of the council, and we have May 11th, 2023 special meeting of the council. We have those meetings.
Can we do them vote all together for A and B?
Sure, yeah, we have those meetings ready. Ready May the 11th, 2023, so a motion to approve the minutes for the A and B on item 11. Motion by Mr. Ard,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Girlinghouse. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Vote.
Oh, did,
So you got to
what's
just vote.
that? All right, yeah, please vote too as well. We're gonna, item 12, I spoke to Mr. Ricks. He said he had no report today. Item 13 and 14 are being pulled from the agenda. Pardon? Item 15 is zoning reclassifications, rezone.
Hang on just a second. Bear with us.
All right, take your time. Yep, 13 has been pulled and 14 has been pulled from the agenda. Tell me when. Hey, Grace. Item, you ready? 15, zoning reclassifications, rezone parcel 0161737A from S&B to R1 for Paul Tanner Jr., located off Lewis Road in Marpole, Louisiana. This is in Mr. Delat's district.
It's zoned commercial and it's actually got a house on it now and he wants to get it zoned residential.
Is that a motion by Mr. Delat?
Yes.
All right, second by Mr. Ard.
You gotta hit the button.
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 All right, that motion carried, I do believe. All right, item 16, yes, 9-0. Item 16, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver for a second address for the owner due to first address being issued to uncle, which is not considered direct ascending or descending heir for a parcel. This is number 0122507B for Alan Watts, located in 20052 Louisiana Highway 444, Livingston, Louisiana, and this is Mr. Delat's district as well.
I'm not sure I know what this one is.
All right.
Can you help, can you help us on the permit? Yes. I don't know what this one is.
Pull your mics, Ms. Delat. I'm not even going to ask you to give your name and address.
Basically, the uncle lives on the property already, and he has the first address. So in order to get a second address, the owner of the property doesn't meet the criteria because it's not a direct descending or ascending heir. So they needed the waiver for the actual owner of the property to be able to move on his property.
So what does the waiver say?
It would be a second address.
A
on the
waiver for a
parcel.
second
Yes.
address?
To give a
Yeah.
second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Delat. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Ard.
Okay.
Any discussion? None being all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All right. Shane, do you have a question about it?
Any drainage, sewer, neighbors, we're all good there?
You don't know.
It's just for a second address. It's all still the same tract of land. The uncle is not doing well, so he's needing to move on the property to be there to help him.
Okay.
But they will not be subdividing, making any other tracts or anything, still one tract of land.
Okay, thanks.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Shane, you good? All right, everybody vote, Ms. Caroline? All right. Item, that motion carried, there was a nay. I'm sorry. Shane, okay, that's fine. I should have called for the vote. I'm sorry.
All good.
Status of the Ament River Mouth of Coastal Restoration Project, Mr. Randy Delat.
I was inquiring about that because I've been on this board for 4 years, and I probably heard 20 dates was going to start. Last one was the fall, then I heard the spring, then I heard last month. I just wondered if someone had a real date. You know, we put it on the agenda. Did anyone who has Mr. Rix's proxy today? Anybody?
As
You?
far as the Amy.
I had some information for you on that, Randy.
Oh, it's for 17, said survey work.
It started 4 weeks ago?
Yep, yep. Survey work has began.
4 weeks ago. So that, Matt,
No, it just says it has began. That's all it says.
Who did you get that from, please?
It's the other one, Mark Harrell.
Is that what you showing?
okay. Do you have any more questions regarding that, Mr. Delat?
Same answer I got for 4 years.
June the 22nd.
All right, item 18, status of a watershed initiative application. Again, Mr. Randy Delat, did you have a question on this one?
Which one is that one?
18.
Okay. Well, I know the deadline is going to be the 30th of this month. And I was wondering, we didn't make it last year. We didn't put in an application. Looks like we didn't put in an application this year either. Or
Well,
we had one?
Application was submitted 4 weeks ago.
This is the one, the application was submitted 4
4
weeks
weeks
ago.
ago.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
submitted,
Okay,
so
that's the one I'm
they're
at.
moving forward with that.
Randy,
Go ahead, Randy, go ahead, Gary.
I think if you go back and watch the Amy River Basin Commission meetings, there's some discussion about what the application entails and what they're planning on doing. So I think in the Amy River, I don't know if it's in the minutes, but it's if you go watch the meeting, there's some discussion, because Mr. Harrell was there and they talked about what the application entailed.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, item 19 is adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver for the minimum lot size and all-purpose servitude from 60 feet to 40 feet for John and James Morgan located on Myers Road in Council District 3. Mr. King put this on the
Yeah, some
agenda.
brothers on Myers Road, and they just wanted to go, the 60-foot was taking up too much space. They just wanted to go down to 40. It's just, y'all got a picture of it. It's just 2.269 acre lots. And so they're small lots. They didn't tell me why they wanted it changed. They just wanted it changed. I got no problem with it.
You okay with it?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Delat had a comment?
No, I just was
Oh.
a second.
A motion by, was that a motion by Mr. Scooter, seconded by Mr. Delat? Oh, Mr. R, did you have a comment?
Yeah,
Nope.
I'm not against this.
Yeah.
I just, last time we brought this up about this same waiver,
Thank
The ordinance.
we need to put this in the ordinance, and we need to look at this 60-foot servitude, because
And
we're
see-
giving too many waivers for this.
Why it's so important, right? We need
Yes,
to look
we
at it.
need to look at this in
Shane,
the ordinance and see if 60 is just too much.
Can we take that note and go ahead and we'll put that on the next
Yeah,
agenda?
thank you, Shane. Appreciate that.
So we had a motion
you,
by
Jeff.
Mr. Scooter and a seconded by Mr. Delat. Ms. Sandy, you want to call for the vote?
Mr. Garlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
All right, I believe that motion carried, and it did 9-0. Item 20, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver for a drainage impact study for gunite pools located at 112060 Florida Boulevard in Walker. This is in Mr. Garlinghouse's district.
It is indeed. I think this gentleman had reached out to Mr. McMorris. I've heard it. I was been occupied, as y'all know, for the last week and a half. I'm okay with it, but I'm going to defer this to Mr. McMorris.
All right, so I went out and met with the guys for gunite pools. The previous owner had already dug a retention pond there. So they had to go back through the parish and get all their permits and stuff. So they was requiring some more studies on the property. And I got with Billy Taylor, if he wants to come on up and explain to us where we was at on the studies.
Okay. Give us your name and address.
Billy Taylor, Livingston, Louisiana. Not Denham Springs. That's the other one. We've been getting confused a lot.
He's back here.
We've been sitting by each other. We talk. We laugh. So I want to say back in 2017, Angel Concrete Company had bought this property, and we bought before you a site plan, had a final site plan, and a drainage impact study was approved, and it had some drainage improvements that needed to be made. They made the improvements, and I think where the technicality is, this new guy had purchased a property And I think if you look at the site plans, they look exactly the same almost, as far as the site work. It's just moving a building a couple feet here or there. So when they went to planning, and the review engineer said, well, technically, we never inspected the work that was done in 2017, so with that being said, we can't accept it, and you're gonna have to go by new ordinances, that's what it says. So, I really think it's a technicality. Angel Concrete Company, it was a portable plant, and they probably never called in for a final, permanent electricity, which never triggered the inspection, but the work was done, we went out and looked at it. So I think it's more of a formality, and they're just going strictly by the book, and then I think you guys might want to exercise some judgment on this case right here, so.
Mr. Gurley, Mr.
Billy.
McMorris, you okay with a motion?
You good? Motion.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, second by Mr. McMorris to approve the waiver. Call for the vote, Ms. Sandy.
Thank you, Billy.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yeah.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Item 21 is request to set for our side setback building will be divided through the connecting walls of the building for Watson Plaza LLC located off Old Highway 16 and Highway 1019 in Council District 2. Mr. Talbert.
This is a family business they are trying to settle an estate. And so basically you have one sibling that's going to end up with part of a structure, another sibling is going to end up with part of another structure, but they are attached. So they're having to create a townhouse situation. They already have firewalls between them, so all it is a side setback waiver. The property line will be an adjoining wall between the two structures. One was built initially, then the other part was added on at a later date, and so consequently, one sibling is going to end up with one building, and the other sibling is going to end up with the other 4 or 5 units that attach to it. They will just have a common connecting wall.
So the property line is going to go right down
Go
through.
right down the middle of the wall.
And it was built with a firewall? Okay.
All
All
that was built.
Second.
right, we got a motion by Mr. Talbot to accept that and a second by Mr. Keene. Any discussion? Let's call for the vote. Ms. Sandifer?
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Item 22 is committee reports. Mr. Delat, did the Finance Committee meet?
We didn't meet.
All right.
You're welcome.
Item 22B is the Ordinance Committee recommendations for introduction of ordinances. Mr. Mack, I believe, is the chairman. I would say, I think Mr. Shane Mack does a fantastic job with the ordinance committees. Item BI would be zoning definitions. Shane, you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So the ordinance committee's been working several meetings to modify and clarify the zoning definitions, classifications, and the land use within those classifications. We want to make it clear so that everybody understands what's allowed and what's not allowed in each different classification. We also defined a lot of uses that weren't defined. And so take a good look at this. This is an introduction. There's going to be a public hearing in a couple of weeks. And actually, can we push the public hearing out until June? That would be June 22nd. And the reason for that is, in case there's any questions, I'd like to be here to be able to explain and answer those questions, because I'm not going to be here on June the 8th. I've got a trip out of town. Business trip I need to make. So can we push that public hearing off till then?
That's fine.
Appreciate it if we can.
If we can legally, that's fine.
Yeah.
Ms. Sandy, would you need to read this by title for it, please?
This will be proposed ordinance 23-20. It's an ordinance to rescind and reenact Chapter 117 zoning of the Code of Ordinances in and for the parish of Livingston to amend the chapter in its entirety. The public hearing will be at 6 p.m. on June the 22nd.
Is that good, Shane, for you?
That's absolutely
Mr.
good.
Ard had some question.
Yeah, so my question, I guess, Mr. Moody, be for you. Should we, not that I'm against this, but should we wait till we talk to this professional?
Well, I think he'll probably be on board by then, so I don't think it hurts to introduce it.
Okay.
All Mr. Talbert?
So, Shane, for clarification purposes, the blue print is additions, and the blue with the strike-throughs are areas that are being taken out?
100% correct.
Huh?
That's correct.
So, but we're rescinding the whole ordinance as it exists and reintroducing it under this?
I mean, we can just introduce it with the changes that are within the document. I'm good with that.
No, I'm just, was there a reason, Sandy, we rescinded and reenacted?
It was so many that was gonna be
Okay,
changed.
That's a big change. Okay.
That was
So the blue is new.
The blue, and the blue strike through.
Strikeouts are just removals, and that's all that's happening in this thing.
That's it. That's correct.
All right. We have, is that a motion by Mr. Mack to
Motion by Mr. Mack, yes, sir.
introduce that ordinance?
Yeah.
And a second by
I'll
Mr.
second.
Girlinghouse? Any discussion? Let's call for the vote, Ms. Sandy?
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
So school impact fees, I just want to say that members of the school board and members of the school board task force that was created reached out to me and wanted the support of the Livingston Parish Council to implement school impact fees in Livingston Parish. I want to support the school board in doing this, so we're working on writing an ordinance to be able to collect, follow the laws, and to collect these school impact fees. And we're going to forward these school impact fees to the school board, and the school board would be responsible for following the law to distribute and spend the school impact fees. We're, like I say, the ordinance is not complete. We're going to have an ordinance meeting on Thursday, what is that, June 1st at 5:30, if everybody's okay with that. If not, we can move it. We're going to try to have that ordinance written and discuss that ordinance in that meeting. That meeting, it'll have the amount that we're planning to collect and in the process to collect that. And so I welcome everybody that's concerned about this. I've talked to a lot of people so far. You know, there's concerns on both sides with collecting and this fee, and so we welcome everybody to come to that meeting and communicate how they feel about it. So.
Okay.
Shane, I'm gonna
There's
ask
no
you.
action on that.
No action.
There's no action being
okay,
taken.
no.
Do y'all still want to speak, Mr.
No,
McMorris?
no, there's no action at all.
Do you still want to speak, or?
You're
Go
welcome
ahead.
to.
So Shane, I'd like to know the fire departments that we talked with before, are they going to be included?
Great question. So
Pull your mic, too.
So right now, this is just about the school board impact fees. The plan, to the best of my knowledge, was to talk to the planner that we're about to hire to help us rewrite some or modify and clarify some of the zoning ordinances, and also we're going to be able to utilize them for collecting impact fees if we so choose and things of that nature. So that's my understanding. So we don't really have our studies at this time to be able to justify how much, so we're going to be looking into that and utilizing this guy for that also. So, but yeah.
All right, the next item on the agenda will be the item 22B3. This was a pink tax exemption for Livingston Parish. Ms. Sandy, do you want to read this by title?
Yes. This will be proposed ordinance 23-21. It's an ordinance to amend Article 1 in general of Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish by adding Section 2-27, Livingston Parish pink tax exemption, by establishing an exemption for Livingston Parish sales and use tax on women's feminine hygiene products and diapers. The public hearing will be at 6 p.m. on June the 8th.
Mr. Talbert, do you want to talk about this?
I mean, I can. We talked about it in ordinance the other night, Sandy. I know it's not been corrected, but that yellow area needs to have a 1 in it, because that's all we control is that 1% sales tax, and Mr. Moody hadn't found the case law on the different sub-departments, subsections of parish government, whether we can address those or not. I don't know that he has
I've looked. I don't see that you have the authority to waive it for them. You can ask that they waive it.
That's fine. I mean, but that's, you had said you hadn't found case law, so that's what
I couldn't find any.
Okay. So this thing mirrors state law. Basically, state law has determined that there are certain items that are necessities, medical necessities that draw an exemption at the state level, and it gives parishes and municipalities the opportunity to pass those along. And if it talks about the definitions, and if you go down to the item below it, it says, for the purpose of this exemption, a diaper is defined as any absorbent diaper or undergarment used for incontinence in adults, or any diaper or undergarment designed to be worn by a child who cannot yet control bladder or bowel movements. And for feminine hygiene products, it means tampons, menstrual pads, sanitary napkins, panty liners, menstrual sponges, menstrual cups, including washable and disposable versions of those items. So basically, if this ordinance is passed, then those individuals who have to utilize those items will be granted a 1% sales tax exemption.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion to introduce in 2 weeks this item.
Is there a second?
I want to speak. I want to speak, and
You got a
Yeah,
second?
let's get a second before we
I was
move
gonna
forward real
second
quick.
it.
Oh, you are going to second?
Yeah, I was gonna
Oh, Ms.
second
Sanford, go ahead.
I just
Second by
want to
Ms. Sanford.
say that I'm going to support it, but this is not a woman thing, and it does take money from roads and jails in Livingston Parish. I appreciate it. Thank you for, I'm conservative. I'm all about tax exemptions, but you just voted to put thousands of homes in my district, stating that we needed the tax revenue. So I support it. I just wanted to go on record and say that.
All right.
Right, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Sandy, you want to call for the vote?
Mr. Garlinghouse,
Yes.
Mr. Wascom.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. McMorris. Yes. Mr. Talbert.
Yes.
Mr. Delat.
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer.
Yes.
Mr. Ard.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
All right, passed unanimous.
How about that?
Well, no.
All right, pardon?
It passed for a greater discussion
Yeah, so
unanimously.
you have, we'll pick it back up again on the next parish council meeting, June 8th. All right, we get to talk about pink tax again. All right, item 22B,
For clarification, the pink tax was a description given.
Exemption.
Yeah, it was a description given to it
I
by the
understand.
newspaper or somebody at the state level. I mean, I just.
Well, look,
I just-
I Googled it real quick, and it goes way back to a time in New York when they got upset when they were charging posting men's haircuts were 15 and women's were like 25, and it goes way back years ago. So, item 22B4, prohibition of biological males from competing in female sports in Livingston Parish. Again, this was placed on the agenda by Mr. Talbert.
You know, I wanted to introduce this thing a couple weeks ago when we were honoring the French Settlement girls softball team and the Albany girls softball and basketball team for their accomplishments as state champions and state runner-ups. But we had to go to committee and then come back to the council again. This thing mirrors state law. It's pretty simple. It basically says that
Biological men can't compete against women.
right, and I was just trying to find well, I was looking for the particular
While
wording.
you're
So
thinking-
basically what it says is biological men cannot compete as women in Livingston Parish. And
Let's read by title, Gary, so let's knock this out the way
That's
real
fine.
quick.
Okay, this is going to be proposed ordinance 23-22. It's an ordinance to amend Article 1 in general of Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish by adding Section 2-28, Women's Sports in Livingston Parish. The public hearing will be on June the 8th at 6 p.m.
All right, go ahead, I didn't mean to cut you off.
that's it. I mean, it just mirrors state law. I mean, and look, I know there was
I'll
some
second it.
discussion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Talbert to introduce it. It's
I have
called
a
for the introduction at the next meeting. Seconded by Mr. Delat.
I have a substitute motion.
We have a substitute motion by Ms. Sandifer.
My computer.
Well, that's okay, well, she can put it in up there.
Okay.
What's your motion, Ms. Sandifer?
To adopt a resolution to oppose and not support biological males competing against females in female-dedicated sports. And the reason that I am proposing a resolution is because we don't have the jurisdiction to create an ordinance like that in Livingston Parish, because the state has already done it, and they have proper jurisdiction over schools, and LHSAA also has adopted this, and they have jurisdiction over the high school athletes. So we don't have the authority to create that ordinance, but we do have the authority to make a resolution, so it will stick.
All right, we have a motion by a second substitute motion.
Same thing in a resolution.
Same
form.
thing except for a resolution. Mr. Mack, you want to go ahead and take the floor?
So we're not
do. I
introducing
do. I
the
appreciate that.
ordinance? We're not introducing the ordinance?
Well, we're going to see in just a
We don't
second.
know. We don't know.
We're going to know in just a second.
Appreciate that, John. I wanted to ask Mr. Moody to comment on that. How do you feel about that? Do you agree
Well,
with Ms.
I
Sandiford?
do have concerns whether or not if you pass an ordinance, it would have any effect. I mean, you could pass an ordinance and change my name to John Doe, but that might not come to be. I am worried that it's the school system that usually regulates your high school sports, and they belong to statewide organizations that set rules. So, and then they're bound by, of course, anything that the legislature passes. So Ms. Sandiford makes a good point. I don't think it would hurt. I don't think there's any penalty for passing an ordinance expressing what you want to have happen, but I don't know how much effect it will have. So I don't think it would hurt. You could pass a resolution and an ordinance, as far as I'm concerned, but it's a good point. I agree. An ordinance might not have much effect.
But neither would a
Mr.
resolution.
Mack, did you have any more question, or you want to delay for a second and let someone else speak?
What a resolution.
Is it? I mean, I'm definitely against it, right?
Against?
I'm against biological males playing in women's sports in Livingston Parish. You know,
Pass them both.
Yeah, I don't think we
just
have
trying to
a
figure out
problem.
what how the best way to prevent
do
this from
that.
happening in the future is. You know,
Resolution's just a wish.
Is a resolution more effective than an ordinance in that way, since we don't?
It's the same
I'll get you-
thing,
I'm gonna get up.
considering we have no authority.
I mean, a resolution is something that no one has to follow anyway. It expresses your desire, so you can send that to the school system, and but you know, you can send your ordinance to the school system. So
All right. Mr. Girlinghouse is next, I believe.
Yes.
Go ahead, Tracy.
Okay. So, if I'm understanding, this is already state law, right?
Yes. Beth Mizell.
And
bill.
so we have the state on this already. Then it seems to me, and I might be wrong, that it would be the school board who would do this, even though it's kind of beyond them because the state's already decreed this. So now we have to do it. And to clarify, I've had all daughters. I am absolutely against this. But I would like for us to work on some stuff that actually we can work on. That's what we're supposed to do. You know. But I'll do the ordinance or the resolution. Or we can all stand up and go, yay. You know.
All right, let's real quick, let's try, Mr. Talbert, go ahead, I'm going to give you the floor.
So, I mean, look, the resolution's non-binding. We all know
The
that.
resolution is what?
Resolutions are non-binding requests of individuals. There's more than high school sports that exist within
what I
the
was gonna
parish.
say.
There's rec sports, there's all kinds of sports that exist in the parish. An ordinance is legal until it's challenged, is all I'm gonna tell you. We have duplicated state law on plenty of occasions. All I'm telling you is an ordinance is the law until it's challenged. And am I correct, Mr. Moody?
yes,
And overturned. And, okay, Mr. King, did you want to speak next?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing that Gary, I mean, we have all these different organizations, you know, PARDs and rec boards and all this stuff. So why not have an ordinance in place that would direct them, you know? And then we can do the resolution too, but.
All right,
Sure, I mean, I don't.
let me
I know
make
say
You're
something?
for.
let me
no
make a
women-
comment.
no men
I
and
would like
women's
to say,
sports.
during the, well, go ahead, Mr. R, do you have something? Go ahead.
Well, I just want to bring to attention that when we did the Second Amendment, the 2A sanctuary, we did both.
Yeah, we did.
Same thing.
do
So
them
I
both and
see
be
no
done.
reason why we can't do both for this.
Mr.
I think
McMorris,
double down
did
makes
you
a
have something else
statement.
to say? You want to stop, Mr. Gerald?
Just want to make sure everybody knows I'm dead
You ain't
against
working.
this.
Okay, I
I
got you.
spoke in the ordinance meeting the other night.
Against introducing it or against it?
Against biological males.
Last one, Ms. Sandifer?
I think doubling down makes a statement. Mr. Talbert, we agree on something, brother man.
Let's do it. Good.
And I'm strong against it. I
Introduce
have
one, pass
females
the other.
in college ball. My daughter.
Okay.
I think, look, John, I think we probably have a procedural problem in the fact that we have a substitute motion on introduction with the resolution. I don't know how, we probably need to lift the agenda, pass a resolution, and introduce the ordinance at the same time. That's my feeling, and I will make a motion. I mean, am I correct? I mean, we made a substitute motion for a resolution in lieu of an ordinance introduction, so.
Can I say something too?
Just, I will get Chris's comment on that.
Yeah, I think if Ms. Sanders would simply change her substitute, say, in addition to the ordinance, I propose a resolution in the same form. I think that would not have.
Let's move forward with that.
Okay, and I would be fine with that. My only problem is, I'll support a resolution, but an ordinance I cannot support because it becomes a law, and I don't want our policemen to have to out there raising up and checking to make sure they're biological. I mean, I have a problem with making a law out of
Well,
something
vote,
that even
John.
Mr. Calvert said that we cannot support.
You can vote no in 2 weeks on that, that's fine.
Okay,
Let's
all right.
vote for the
Okay, let's do
resolution
that,
first.
then, I'll do that.
Right.
Is there a second from Ms. Sanders?
I'll second it, if it's in addition to.
It's in addition to that.
So it's gonna be, it's gonna be the original.
Ms. Sandy, we had a motion by Ms. Sandifer, substitute motion to add a resolution to Mr. Talbert's initial
We're
motion.
gonna do 2 votes, right?
Right, we're gonna vote on this, we're gonna vote on the resolution
No.
and vote.
No, we're just voting on one.
One
Her
vote.
amendment is to add a resolution to your motion,
Okay.
okay? So this is just her substitute motion is just to add a,
Chris, we don't need 2 votes on that?
Well, if Mr. Wasson.
well, that's okay, I'm fine with it.
divided,
I'm fine
okay.
with it. I'm fine with it. No, that's fine, because I'm going to vote no on the next meeting, whenever
Okay.
the ordinance gets introduced.
Okay.
All right. Pardon?
I will if it'll make us
Shane
go
did.
forward.
Ms. Sandifer made the motion. Mr. Girlinghouse seconded it.
Shane
I
seconded
seconded
it.
her resolution.
Miss,
I seconded her
okay,
resolution.
Mr. Mack changed that. Mr. Mack seconded the resolution. Ms. Sandy, would you call for the vote, please?
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris? Yes. Mr. Talbert?
Yes,
Mr. Delat?
Yes, but I don't have nothing to vote with. A head coming.
it went away.
Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
All right, that
I did. Where'd it
that motion counted. Tracy, did you push yes?
Again, yes. There we go. Okay.
All right.
All right, that motion carried. Welcome to the Livingston Parish Council, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, this is good.
Next item on the agenda is an allocation of revenue to the parish.
Don, no, now we
vote for
need
the
to vote on the
introduction?
ordinance.
Introduction.
The introduction of the ordinance. Well, it's just
Oh,
introduction.
that was the
we don't
introduction.
have-
That was both of them,
That was the
wasn't
resolution.
it? Okay. Chris?
So,
That was a substitute motion, so now you
And
need
added
to
it to the,
on the main motion.
Whatever.
I want to make a point, call to order.
hi, Mr. Platt.
Gary was 100% right in what he was trying to do earlier. You can't change a motion, the meaning of a motion. You can, of that ordinance. She can amend it, but she couldn't change the meaning. So either we voted for the ordinance to be introduced a while ago, or we got to back up and change that meaning. So either we voted for his ordinance the first time, or we got to do exactly what Gary tried to do a while ago.
I have a suggestion.
Go ahead, Mr. Curleyhouse.
Why don't we just vote to move it forward, and then next meeting, we will do the
Resolution.
resolution then?
yeah, put a resolution on the agenda with
Correct.
When we do the ordinance.
I'll have to undo the resolution.
Or we can lift the agenda now and then vote Ms. Sandifer's
To
resolution.
lift
You
the
got any
agenda.
help on this one?
It'll be
You
further.
handle it any of those ways.
Aye.
I make a motion to lift the agenda to approve Ms. Sandifer's
Second.
ordinance. Well, motion.
Second.
Motion
Wait, she got to
by
type it all in,
Mr.
y'all.
Calvert to approve Ms. Sandifer's motion.
but that's to lift the agenda.
Lift the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. The items
No, we lifted
the agenda. Now,
Who did the second?
Now Ms. Sandifer needs to make her motion for the resolution.
adopt the resolution, Ms. Sandifer.
Same thing as,
To adopt a resolution to oppose and not support biological males in competing against females in female-dedicated sports.
Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Shane Mack. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the resolution is passed.
I make a motion to go back to regular.
I second Gary.
Motion by Mr. Talbert and second by Mr. Delat brings us back into regular session or regular on the item agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, we're back on the agenda. Let's see here.
even an hour in.
Now, item 22B, 7.
Are we gonna vote on the ordinance introduced?
We already voted on that one, I believe.
Well, technically, you voted on the amendment, or the substitute motion, so.
All right, is there a motion by Mr. Talbot? Introduce the ordinance, second by Mr. Latt. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item 22B7, amend Livingston Parish Ordinance Number 15-18, Justice of the Peace and Constable Salary.
John vote, Aaron vote.
For the 1,000.
No, John. That's
Okay,
what you wanna
all right,
do.
this is on the ordinance, okay, yeah.
All right.
Amend Livingston Parish Ordinance 15-18, Justice of the Peace and Constable Salary Provisions.
Which
Mr.
number?
Delat, did you?
Which number?
Where is it?
22A, 22B7.
I'll make that motion. Basically, what the motion is, I'll describe it. We're currently paying them $500 per month, and that's our ordinance. That's a law. Since that time, Bodie White has sponsored a bill that passed.
We skipped one.
We skipped one.
Okay, let's finish up this one, I'll go back.
Finish up this one while we're here.
Since that time, Bodie White has passed and gave supplemental pay, and I think it was $120 a month, or what it was. So we have to add that supplemental pay to the ordinance so she can legally pay them.
Ms. Sandy, would you read by title, please?
This will be proposed ordinance 2323. It's an ordinance amending LPO 15-18, the method of payment, and providing for the Livingston Parish Justices of the Peace and Constables by making salary provisions as set forth more fully within. The public hearing will be on June the 8th at 6 p.m.
Motion by Mr. Delat, seconded by Mr. Girlinghouse.
Oh, man. Okay.
Mr. Girlinghouse, let's call for the vote, please.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Yes.
Mr. Wascom.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. McMorris. Mr. Talbert.
Yes.
Mr. Delat.
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer.
Yes.
Mr. Ard.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item, let's go back to 5, allocation of revenue to the parish by DNR on monies generated on state CCS leases. Mr. Talbert.
You know, look, we talked about this at the ordinance committee. I want to make some changes to it. So in lieu of introducing it tonight and trying to amend it in 2 weeks, I would rather hold it back. And Shane, I'm not gonna be able to make the meeting on the 1st, but if you have one, like, is that the only one you're gonna have between now and the next
If you want to
meeting?
change it to the Tuesday before, we can do that. What does the group want to do?
Let me see.
Wait a minute.
Or later.
June 6th, I can't make that. We can
No,
do the
but
Monday.
June 6th
Oh,
is
it
a
said
meeting.
the Tuesday
So
before.
I'm just saying that, look, I can't make the 1st, so.
Just send it,
so-
Gary. Just send it. Send it to us. You ain't gotta be here.
Yeah, I'm gonna, it's basically, all it's gonna do is it's gonna be, instead of setting up these funds that can be revoked, it'll be about going before, amending the home rule charter is all it's gonna be. We're just gonna structure it different.
Okay, why don't you just put it on the next council and don't even send it to ordinance committee? I'm fine with that.
I'll do that, I wanna defer the introduction and we'll just introduce it in
If
2
y'all
weeks.
okay with it, I'm fine. I mean,
Yep, I'm good with that too.
I
In
can,
lieu of trying to introduce it and amend it, and Jeff, you and I are gonna talk about that other
Yeah,
part.
as long as we don't get somebody send it back to ordinance on us.
Yeah.
hang on a second.
We've already done this in ordinance.
Yeah,
so
let's
we're
see what
gonna-
it says.
we're gonna-
They all
okay.
agreed that we're gonna introduce it in 2 weeks. I just wanna make
Okay.
sure, I don't wanna introduce it now and then amend it in 2 weeks. So I would rather pull it.
Get it right and
Get it
you do
right.
it. Item 7, that item has been pulled then. Item 23.
Wait, we got an addendum. We got an addendum.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, y'all.
We got several.
We do have
We got
addendums.
2.
We
Yeah, I
have
don't
2
see the
addendums.
addendum. Where's
Sandy,
the
can I get a
addendum
copy of those real
One
quick?
of them.
Where's the addendum, buddy?
All the way at the top of the
How you make it go?
I don't see it.
You can't just
It
touch
won't,
it.
it won't,
Let's
you went
decide and
on
roll
the
it up.
packet?
scroll to the top
Okay.
of the packet.
You mean like
All right, we had a couple addendums.
Hopefully we do.
One is
They're too techy for me.
adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver of section 125-37-9 requirements for minor subdivisions and regarding to signage for the Buddy Lamar Payne property located off Webb Road in Council District 2. Mr. Talbert.
2 weeks ago, we granted Mr. Payne a waiver on a number of lots on a servitude. And in the process, nobody realized a sign needed to be posted. And when Mr. Payne went to get his paperwork done there was a thing about the sign, so that's why there's an addendum. So as not to hold Mr. Payne up, I'm asking that we grant a waiver on the sign, since we've already granted a waiver.
Second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, seconded by Mr. Delat.
You didn't know.
Mr. McMorris, did you have something you wanted to say? Okay, it was on the queue. Let's call for the vote, Ms. Sandy.
Mr. Garlinghouse.
Yep.
Mr. Wascom.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. McMorris. Yes. Mr. Talbot.
Yes.
Mr. Delat.
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer.
Yes.
Mr. Ard.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
All right, the last item, or the last addendum item, is Livingston Parish Council will add the addendum following executive session, United States District Court, Middle District of Louisiana, case 3-23, Ascension Properties versus Livingston Parish Government, and Mr. Delat, Ms. Sandifer, Mr. McMorris, Mr. Ard, myself, and Mr. Mack. I believe most of us were served.
Yeah.
All of us. Complaint for declaratory relief, injunction relief, and damages, and request for jury trial. This was requested to go in, I believe, executives.
Motion to go in executive session.
Is that right, Mr. Moody? You're the one who requested this, correct? Motion by Mr. R to go to executive session, seconded by Mr. Talbot. Did you have something else to say, Gary? Because you're in the queue.
No, I was just, we used to have a motion and a second button on here, and they're gone, so I just put the speak button.
Ms. Sandifer, did you want to comment?
I do. I just want to say that this is not confidential because I am mentioned personally, and you advised me to get my own personal attorney, and I did. And you stated at the last meeting you invited him into the executive session, but he was not here. Tonight he is here, and he will be joining us in the executive session.
Well, if there's no objection from the council, I have no objection.
Good with that.
No.
I'm good. All right, so we had a motion by Mr. R to go into executive session, seconded by Mr. Talbot. Call for the vote, Ms. Sandy.
Mr. Garlinghouse.
Yes.
Mr. Wascom.
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. McMorris. Yes. Mr. Talbot.
Yes.
Mr. Delat.
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer.
Yes.
Mr. Ard.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
All right, this is to let you know that we will go into executive session. There will be no action taken in the back. It just allows us to discuss strategies, and then when we come back, we'll go back into a regular meeting, and we may take action then, we may not, but that is the last item on the agenda, so you're welcome to stick around, or you're welcome to go home.
Channel 17, proudly serving the Florida parishes.
Go ahead and bringing this meeting back together. Let's get a motion to go back into session. Motion by Mr. King.
Second.
It's all in favor.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Now, we're not pushing it on the, okay, hit your button.
Okay.
Bam, all right. All right, we should be back in session. I just want to let everyone know.
Wait.
Just, yes, you want to.
Well, it says action taken in executive session.
Yeah, come back from executive session.
Come back from executive session.
Okay, so,
Okay, as long as we're
yes.
clear on that, because we
All
didn't
right.
take any action.
Yeah.
Okay, just to let everyone know, no action was taken in the back as a council, so we had a big discussion, and I'm not sure what's going to happen, so I'm going to turn this over to the council. Either any council members want to make a motion to move forward with anything? Mr. Talbot is in the queue. Go ahead, Mr.
I want to
Talbot.
make a motion to give Mr. Moody the opportunity to settle this lawsuit.
All right, Mr.
I'm going to second that.
Mr. Ard has a second, and we have a discussion by Mr. Mack.
I just wanted to repeat that motion.
I want to give Mr. Moody the opportunity to settle this lawsuit, accept the
So
settlement
basically,
offer
the
as.
motion is to move forward with the settlement agreement that was offered? And he seconds it?
And Jeff Ard
That's
second,
motion to accept
the settlement.
the settlement.
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
All right, we have a substitute motion by Mr. Shane Mack.
All right, my motion is to defer the decision to accept this settlement agreement.
All right, and we have a second by Ms. Sandifer
A second.
to have for a substitute motion. So that would call, the first vote to call would be for Mr. Mack, and that is to
Defer
defer this,
the decision
the decision
to accept the settlement agreement.
to accept the settlement agreement.
You have a
All
time
right.
frame? Just out of curiosity.
I'm okay. Do we need to put a time frame on it? 4 weeks? I I need a little more time.
Okay, so, hold on, you have, I mean,
Need more time.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to know.
okay, you got it?
Yep.
Gary, you got a quick question?
Yeah, so Shane, your motion is to defer the settlement for 4 weeks.
That's right.
Okay, and let's call for Mr. Mack's vote. Can you? Verbally? No pushing the buttons? All right, okay. Ms. Sandy, would you call for the vote, please?
Burlinghouse,
No.
Mr. Wascom,
Yes.
Mr. King,
No.
Mr. McMorris,
Yes.
Mr. Talbert,
No.
Mr. Delac,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Ord,
No.
Mr. Mack.
Yes.
I think that passed 5-4.
4.
Yep.
So that motion to defer this until 4 weeks or whenever it comes back up, and that motion carries. So that should be the end of the council meeting, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sitting through all this.
Motion to adjourn.
A motion
Motion
by
to
Mr.
adjourn.
Ard to adjourn. Second by Mr. Girlinghouse. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.